recording going. Good evening. Happy Wednesday. I am Lauren Howman. I am one of the admins of the Freedom from Alcohol Facebook page, and I'm also one of three coaches that works with the Freedom from Alcohol program, along with Chris Shattuck and Matt Gardner. I am here tonight to interview, just very informally, my client, Bonnie. And Bonnie's been with us for probably about 4 months now. But she's going to tell her story. I'm not going to tell it, but we've had a lovely relationship, and we were actually going to go live around 7, but we've been chit-chatting behind the scenes and cutting up about kind of what we've been up to that's really silly, like binge watching things that we used to not care about and just fun stuff like that. So we're a little bit late to the Zoom, but good evening. Bonnie, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I want to take you back. And again, we talked about this behind the scenes, but anything you feel comfortable sharing with our folks here at Freedom from Alcohol about the program and kind of about like where you were. So take us back to before you called me up or before we had our first Zoom. What was going on in life that had you reaching out to me to have a conversation about possibly working together?
I think that I had known for a while that alcohol was a problem. Um, Maybe a couple years longer than that. I can read journals from 20 years ago and me struggling with trying to stop or trying to quit. So when I with the age of social media and things were popping up, like about informational podcasts that you can listen to about the destructiveness of alcohol, um, to your body, to your mind, and all that. So, and I had recognized that my social life and then bleeding into my personal life, alcohol was my go-to for any type of for any reason at all. If I got off work, oh, I needed a glass of wine. If I was going to go have fun with friends, I needed a glass of wine. And, once you have one, you can't have just one, you can have two, three, four. And so when I had reached out to you, I had already spoke with somebody else, but I just wasn't ready at that time. I didn't think that maybe I would need it like that, because it's an obligation, and I thought, well, maybe I don't need it that bad. And then but then I just didn't stop. I never stopped. I just didn't stop drinking. I wasn't accountable. I wasn't getting the information on the regular basis. I wasn't interacting with other people who aren't drinking. And so all of those factors, I wasn't able to do it on my own, and I knew it. So I had seen, I don't think I saw a TikTok of yours. I think it was more like Instagram or something. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
I don't know where it was, but I said, um, I was kind of wanting to have somebody maybe that was more live closer to me, maybe I thought might have more in common with. And so I listened to some of the podcasts and I said, you know what? And I called you. I just said, it can't hurt to call. I mean, it can't hurt to call. Like, I
Right.
don't have to do anything, but I can at least call. And we got on the phone. Because I'd already friended you. And then I think it was like a couple months later
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
actually reached
Mhm.
out. And I called, we got on the phone and we talked a lot about it, and a lot of things you struggled with. I did, like, the same thing.
Yep.
And I felt like, um, you know, if I was going to invest in something, I was going to invest in this. This was to me, and I didn't need anybody else's approval. A
Mm.
lot of times in life you go, I told you my mom would go, oh, Bonnie, like that's, but I thought, no, I don't need anybody else's approval. I know I know I don't have any other options here.
Right.
If I want to stop, if I want to quit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it came to be. And when I talked to you, I was like, okay, I'm on. And I just right away, and that was it. Just took off with it. And um, just, it was the best thing I ever did. to
Awesome.
quit
Yes,
to
it
quit
was.
this.
And it's been a
Hmm.
good time, and you've had a phenomenal just recovery, I would say, and journey. So it's interesting. The very first thing you said was that you knew that you were kind of problematic because it was almost everywhere you turned, you were finding a reason to drink, right? And not to put
Hmm.
words in your mouth, but I want to, for the listeners and for the people who are thinking like, the very first thing you said was, I would come home from work and I need to have a glass of wine. What you described there is actually a lot of people's normal drinking patterns, where they are right now. They come home from work and they maybe open a bottle up while they cook dinner, and then they have a second glass while they're eating dinner, and maybe a third
Hmm.
while they're relaxing on the couch with their husband, wife, whatever the dynamic may be. Um, so we all are there at some point. The problem is that with this, alcohol is very deceptive, and slowly you start to slide into it's a little bit more than that. So I just wanted to say, because the very first thing you said sounded like what a lot of people are doing on a nightly
Hmm.
basis, and they don't think it's problematic. But you were noticing too that it was like you couldn't talk yourself out of it, like, or that if you said you weren't going to drink that night, you ended up drinking anyway. Um,
Or if I said I was going to have one glass, I usually ended up having four to finish
right,
the bottle. And so it was just it's just a slippery slope. You might can, you know, start, you might can have one, but eventually it goes down to the other. It does. I mean, for most, for not, I mean, maybe not for everybody, but
right.
it's
But
hard
so
not to.
if you really like the what it's doing for you, you're going to want to have that happen more often. So there are those occasional people that just really don't like the way they feel when they have a buzz or when they're drunk, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that again." Or it's very rare because sometimes they'll mess up and have too much. Like maybe there's just that one glass here and there throughout the year, and then they go and mess up and go out and they get really drunk, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. We don't like that." Then you have the people like me that were willing to trade that. And
Yes.
so if I liked what I was getting from it enough, I'm going to go for it more and more often. And so for me as a, college student versus who I became in my lower 30s or early 30s and then my mid 30s and then all the way up till 40 when I quit drinking, um, that was me at a different place on that hill. So I was one of
Hmm.
those people before, oh, I just got off work, I should have a glass of wine, or oh, we're going out to dinner, I should have a couple. But it always will start to slide if we keep going back to it. So because it's an addictive drug. So I don't want people to sit here and think that just because it's not a problem for you today doesn't mean much. Because if it's not a problem and you don't see it as a problem, you're never regulating it. And maybe you just aren't around it a lot. But if you are a person that's around it a lot, it's like it's a numbers game. I've seen people go from never having a drink to being like straight up like I need help within 3 years, and then in my case, it took like a full like 15 years to really become a problem.
Yeah, like a lot longer for me. So
So that was a big old monologue. I'm sorry for that. But so
yeah.
so with you know, you said this was the best decision you'd ever made. If you were going to invest somewhere, you were going to invest in this. What was it about our time together, like when we were having our free consultation where we were just jibber jabbering? Was it the philosophies that we have on, how to stop drinking, or is it more just that we were a good match? What was it about our call that made you say, yes, I'm doing this?
Um, I guess I guess I just it's hard to tell if you're a good match, I guess, in the beginning, like the very first day, but I just knew I was at the end. Like I was like, okay, if I don't do this, I'm I'm never gonna quit. So, and I was comfortable with you. So we went ahead and um I know it takes me a little while to open up. So, but I did like the exercises. It made me put thought into, there was a lot of exercises about, it made me think about a lot of the reasons why I was drinking, the damage it did, like um so I did like the exercises every week. And then discussing them and all that. And then Matt did some stuff with me, like
Mhm.
um, changing the way, reprogramming your brain, rechanging the story, um, and the accountability every week. And also, there's also not only the one-on-one with you, but then there was, the Monday night calls with everybody. and everybody being able to just talk about some of their struggles and what they had to deal with, during the week, or maybe some wins, some things that they conquered. And I love to hear those stories and apply them to myself, and how am I gonna, be able to do that. So I think that the three of you were great, but the one-on-one with us, and then my favorite was the breakup letter. I love the breakup letter. I really liked that one. I like to read it back. I'm like, oh, this is great. So that was my favorite. But yes, those exercises, and I like the tools that Chris has on there for the meditation, the hypnosis. Those things were amazing. Like the information he has that he's gathered, and of course he's got this radio voice that makes it so soothing.
Right. Yes.
And I'm like, I'm kind of weird. It's like nighttime and I'm trying to go to sleep, and I got Chris like playing, because I'll put him on like maybe before I go to sleep, listen to him for a little while. Just so that, because it kind of helps you, slow down and just, reflect on your day. I have that gratitude journal. See, I have a tendency to do the gratitude journal in the morning. I think I'm a fresh thinker in the morning. But I love that. I love recognizing things I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
But there was just so many, and I think that all of you've gone out of your way to find different tools to help us.
Yeah. So some of the things that, just for the people watching this that aren't in the program with you, they don't have access to all this cool stuff. But Chris is actually a licensed or registered, I don't know, he's the real deal. He is a hypnotist, and he is able to record hypnosis tracks for our clients. And I think there's 4 right now that we're using, and our clients love it. Matt does story work and breath work, and he's incredible in helping change the perception of things, stories that we're telling ourselves, and how we can get the emotion out of it. And it goes a lot deeper than that. I'm not giving it a great explanation. And then I do PSYCH-K work. So I facilitate PSYCH-K, which is another way to get rid of self-limiting beliefs and replace those with something that will better serve you towards your goals, so that your subconscious and your conscious are not just like button heads, because that's what willpower is. And willpower doesn't work for long because it takes a lot of will and a lot of power. So that's what Bonnie's talking about with all of that. We do a lot of exercises. So our philosophy is, Bonnie, for you, when we were having our initial conversation, what you told me that you wanted was you wanted to be drink free, you wanted to be alcohol free, but you didn't want to be sad about it. You didn't want it to be like that long lost best friend. Like initially, I thought was going to be my life without wine. Like she was my bestie. I had her up on a pedestal. She was shiny and gorgeous and everything I wanted, right? And so I didn't want to miss that. And that's kind of what you were saying to me was you don't want to miss it. You want to be a happy person without it. You don't want to just be mad and sober, like, I can't have it. So, and that's what we do here. So explain to us now, kind of where are you now, and how do you feel about alcohol, and what did you gain from this journey you took yourself on?
I know I haven't. I mean, I haven't missed it at all. I have brief moments of thoughts of it, they're like old patterns, like I'm gonna get off and have a glass of wine, and then I go, no, I'm not drinking anymore. I feel like I'm more engaged in life. I'm getting things done, accomplished more than I would have before. I'm able to look ahead and say, I don't want to do that because I know tomorrow I'm not going to feel very good. I know that I don't want to drink, and I'm not missing a best friend or anything. I'm not, I'm not missing it. I'm not missing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, it's that constant fear that they're going to be in FOMO for like the rest of their lives, because how can you go out to a bar and not drink? Or how can you, and I'm not going to advise that for everybody. I do it. It's a preference that I'm still going to go everywhere the alcohol is because I don't live in a bubble, but we don't need to test ourselves in early sobriety. But so But in the end, I want to be able to go to parties that have an open bar and there's people drinking and dancing at the same time as I'm out on the dance floor dancing. And I'm not feeling like I'm missing out on all the fun because I don't have the same drink in my hand as they do. And that's really what we want for all of our clients. It's what you wanted for yourself. And you've been to a couple events where a couple different places
Yeah.
visit.
Yeah. And it hasn't been a problem. I think once you just stop focusing on it and you don't even, you'll find that most people don't really want to share their alcohol because they're like, this is mine.
Yeah.
But, and so I have not missed it. I have not, once I get past it, like, it doesn't even phase me. Like, I just talk and have a good time and then I leave.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not even it hasn't so far been a problem at all. Nobody's ever, I mean, I'm at the place in my life where most people are going to leave me alone about it. They're not going to, it's not like I'm in college and I
Peer
have people
pressure. Yeah. Yeah.
peer pressure. Most of everybody's like, okay, whatever, and they move on. And that's what I want. I don't, a lot of people say I really want to make it clear to everybody that I'm not drinking. And that wasn't something that I wanted to do. Like, I just wanted to, because I feel like people then want to kind of question,
Yeah.
not because they're trying to, um, you know, make you feel weird. They're just curious.
Yeah. They're
And
very curious because at some level they're wondering about theirs too a lot of times.
yeah, and they're thinking you're judging them when
And
you're not. You're not even, I don't even care. But I just felt like I don't want to talk about it. Like, I really just want to not do it. It's
right.
like
You don't
it's
want to
like
draw attention to yourself. That's just not who you are, and you're not trying to get everybody else to feel weird about drinking. Um,
no,
but there's a good point there. Most people probably don't even recognize that you're not drinking because
mhm,
people make a big deal out of it. Most people are concentrating on what they're drinking and what they're eating, and as long as you're like drinking something and eating something, nobody cares, honestly.
nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. And then they usually get kind of buzzed or whatever, and then they don't even recognize anything else in their vision, their peripheral, nothing.
Right. Right.
So it's
A
really
lot of
it's
people
been
do fear that. Like they fear social events because they don't want the spotlight on them. Like, oh, you're not a drinker? Why? Or, can't you just have one? You know, hopefully most of us are in a space where we're not being peer pressured. And honestly, if I tell you I'm not drinking because I don't like the way it makes me feel, or because I'm focusing on my health, or because guess what, I like it a little too much. Um, I would expect people to say, "Oh, okay, got it." But actually, people don't even notice.
mm-mm.
They don't even
they
know.
they just they don't they're in their own world.
Yeah.
I mean, I went over to my neighbors the other night. Both of them were drinking, and we did karaoke, and we had the best time. And no, I mean, nobody cared. They didn't care. So I mean, and it wasn't any different for me, except I wasn't acting a fool.
Right.
Although I was acting a fool, like it was like I was having fun doing karaoke because I don't sing good, but yet I I wasn't acting a fool, like drunk fool. So that was even better.
Well, I didn't even know about this, but that's kind of like the ultimate win. Like, there's so many things. Like our podcast today, we were talking about intimacy. So you guys got to go check out the podcast because Chris uses his radio voice too on this podcast because it was funny. But oh my gosh. Anyway,
Yeah,
yes. But now I forgot what I was going to say. I completely lost my train of thought.
you were talking about. I was talking about uh doing the
Oh,
karaoke.
yep. I got it. Thank you. This is what you have to do when you have an ADHD coach. You just have to remind me where we were, right?
Yeah.
Um, you can do hard things. We were talking about how do you have sex when you're sober? How do you sing karaoke when you're sober? You just do it once, you realize it's still fun, and then, like, because I think a lot of people are scared. How could I ever go and do karaoke? It's one of my favorite things to do, but I've only ever done it drinking. How do I do it sober? Well, you just go do it once. And to your point, it was fun. You just weren't acting like a drunk hot mess, but you were still acting like a fun.
Like a hot mess. I mean, I
Yeah.
was enjoying myself. And, I mean, there was like three of us, but still, I was enjoying myself. I sang my heart out. And but I wasn't drunk. So it was so much better. And I thought of really good songs, and of course they were drunk, so they thought I sounded great.
Perfect.
So, hey,
I mean,
it was a win-win.
I think that's the perfect win to even end this show on, because look, if you can sing karaoke sober, you can do anything sober. You're not missing anything. You don't even have to call yourself sober. I've been saying that because it just makes it really clear what I mean. But
Yeah.
you can be
It's,
food free, alcohol free. You can just be an ex drinker, whatever it is, and you can still do karaoke, and you can still dance at weddings, and you can still go to events that there's alcohol present. So I think that so new in your journey, you're out there singing karaoke. I think that speaks a lot.
I'm good. I'm good.
You're just good, and you're learning who you are and being okay with who you are without numbing yourself even to your own self. And then you can put yourself out there, and who cares if it sounds terrible, right? It's fun.
I had a good time. Had a great
Good.
time.
Well, I thank you so much for coming on here, and just hang for a second. I'll get all this off of all the show,
Okay.
and then we can catch up a little bit more before we have to go. But thank you to everybody who is watching this either live or coming back and watching the replay. Drop some emojis in the comments to give Bonnie like some woo, give her some love. And if you're interested in having a conversation about what it would look like to be coached by the three of us, Chris, Lauren, and Matt, you can fill out a form. It's on this page, or you can go to coachbychris.com, and he's got a place where you can fill out a little consult and schedule with him to just have a free conversation about what it looks like. Yeah, so that's all I got.
Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I don't know how to end it.